When Coda was first released, it was only 8 tracks long. The album consisted of previously unreleased tracks and was issued after the death of drummer John Bonham. John Paul Jones remarked at the time, basically there wasn't a lot of Zeppelin tracks that didn't go out. We used everything. That was back in 1982. And those remarks made us all feel that that was it. This was the last of any new Led Zeppelin recordings we would ever hear again. But when the first Led Zeppelin 4 CD box set was released in 1990, it contained 3 new tracks: Traveling Riverside Blues and White Summer Black Mountainside. Also included was a specially created mashup track of Bonzo's Montreux and Moby Dick. I should add this was before mashups were a thing. It also featured Hey Hey What Can I Say, the only Led Zeppelin song that was not part of an original studio album and only released as a 45. Then when the 2 CD box set was released in 1993, another new track, Baby Come On Home, was also included. When Coda was re-released in 1993 for the complete studio recordings box set, it now included Baby Come On Home, Traveling Riverside Blues, Hey Hey What Can I Do, and White Summer Black Mountainside in its track listings. I thought it was great that these bonus tracks from the original box sets and the band's only 45-inch single that was not included on an album were included as part of Coda. But conspicuously absent was Bonzo's Montreux, Moby Dick, the mashup from the original 4 CD box set. More on that in a moment. So in 2015, with the entire catalog being re-released in deluxe edition formats, the biggest surprise of the entire re-release schedule is that Coda is now a 3-disc set with 23 tracks. Disc 1 is the original album with its original 8-track listing. Included in the second 2 discs are the aforementioned tracks added to the complete studio recordings box set from 1993, but minus White Summer Black Mountainside. And more on that in a moment too. Like all these deluxe reissues, we get some alternate and early work in progress mixes and some instrumental mixes from the original album. Throughout this reissue series, these early mix and instrumental versions have been a mixed bag for me. Some of them have been uniquely different from their final versions, and they stand up to repeated listenings. Others, though, just get kind of a, well, that's interesting to hear, but when I want to hear this song, I will just listen to the original studio album version. On the We're Gonna Groove alternate mix, we get some additional vocals and some subtle differences on the guitar, and I will say it is as enjoyable to listen to as the original. Also, the instrumental version of Poor Tom works great in this format, and is also as enjoyable as the original album track version. But on the other hand, the Bonzo's Montreux early construction mix and the instrumental mix of Walter's Walk both feel to be largely unnecessary inclusions into this reissue, and I personally will not be including them in my iTunes. With these alternate and instrumental mixes out of the way, we now get to what is a really great trove of previously unreleased recordings that, along with the bonus tracks from the 1993 complete studio recordings, plus the alternate and instrumental versions of We're Gonna Groove and Poor Tom, really make this re-release worth buying again. Now, first of all, If It Keeps On Raining is an early version of the Led Zeppelin 4 track, When the Levee Breaks. Now, this version is faster, it has different lyrics, and an intro that is accompanied by a bass riff. And it's a little bit shorter too. But it's just startling different to hear. What I have to wonder is, why wasn't this included in the Led Zeppelin 4 reissue? I don't know, but I'm really glad it is included here. Now, after that is an original song that we've never heard before called Sugar Mama. Now, this is clearly a Led Zeppelin 1 era recording, and we hear the very young Robert Plant's voice on this. And it's just a really great, cool track. Why it was never included on Led Zeppelin 1, I don't know, but just an outstanding track in my opinion. After that, we have Four Hands featuring the Bombay Orchestra and Friends featuring the Bombay Orchestra. This features Led Zeppelin performing with a group of Indian musicians on both these 2 tracks. I prefer Friends over Four Hands simply because Friends actually features Robert Plant's vocals. Four Hands, of course, is actually Four Sticks, but just retitled for this version. After that is an instrumental called St. Tristan Swords. This is supposed to be a Led Zeppelin 4 era recording. It feels like a jam session that was maybe intended for a song with vocals, but just never quite completed. It's still really great to hear. Even a jam session by Led Zeppelin is pretty interesting in my opinion. After that, we get Desire. Now, this is the Wonton song, and this is was of course originally a Physical Graffiti track, and it features John Paul Jones on clavinet, and that's its main difference, is that we hear John Paul Jones on the keyboard on this one. Once again, great to hear this version here, and it's just been retitled as Desire. Now, after that, we get Bring It On Home Rough Mix. Now, this is a version of the Led Zeppelin 2 track, which is strictly just the middle part, not the blues, the slow blues acoustic intro and outro for the song. And it's cool to hear it this way as well. And I also don't think this is quite the final mix that we got. I think this is a slightly rougher mix of it as well. Lastly, we get Everybody Makes It Through in the Light rough mix. Now, this is a conglomerate version of the Physical Graffiti Deluxe Edition track that was featured on the re-release of that album. We get the vocal track, but with the drums and drone of the Physical Graffiti track in the light. So it's kind of another mashup here. I remembered with the Physical Graffiti re-release, that was one of the high points as far as the alternate tracks, which was Everybody Makes It Through. So here we get it combined with In the Light, and so it's just a great alternate version of the song. So it's a real treasure trove in my opinion this time around. And also I really do feel when I compare back-to-back the original studio recordings with these remasters, I actually hear a slightly more noticeable difference than I have with some of the previous re-releases, where I only heard just very minor differences. Who knows, maybe Coda never quite got the proper mastering that it deserved, and that's why I'm hearing more of a difference. When these re-releases were first announced, I never really thought that Coda would be the one I'd get most excited about, but that's how I basically feel. However, I do have one complaint. Why was White Summer Black Mountainside and the Bonzo's Montreux Moby Dick mashup not included? Why make these tracks available only on a previous release but not part of these reissues? To me, this is a real oversight. These reissues should have ensured that fans get access to every single studio track that's been previously released. And Coda would have been the perfect place to do it. I decided to get rid of my original 4-CD box set back when I decided that I was going to purchase the Japanese Definitive Edition, which is how I personally own the Led Zeppelin catalog. But before I did that, I did save all the tracks that were exclusive to that original 4-CD box set as WAV files on my computer and made CD backups of them. But I really think it's a shame that these two tracks were not included in Coda or somewhere along the way as part of the bonus tracks on these reissues. As I have listened to each of these re-releases, I have had mixed feelings. By and large, the audio quality of these remasters hasn't been significant enough for me to be able to recommend going out and rebuying them. Throughout, I have wished that the deluxe versions would have given us more information about the making of the original album, and also more information about the bonus tracks. The bonus tracks themselves have been a mixed bag for me too, with some of them feeling completely unnecessary and others feeling like I have just discovered a priceless jewel. But I guess how you feel about these bonus tracks all comes down to your own subjectivity. If you've never purchased the Led Zeppelin catalog before though, these deluxe editions are the way to go. It's probably going to be a while before we get a better version of these albums. For Music Worth Buying, this is TJR. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.